Valve revolutionized the first-person shooter. They actually revolutionized many things. Their second engine, the Source engine, was incredible when it launched, and even up until this day, it is used extensively by source modders, developers and hobbyists. Their multiplayer games and single-player experiences are unlike any other, and they are supported by various modding communities, which more or less keep the games alive. Many like Valve's open nature. You can take any of their games and make maps, mods and textures for them, and easily share them with others without the company showing any sort of resistance. The life expectancy of their multiplayer games was drastically increased too, by allowing custom servers, maps and things like custom scripts and game modes. So, what is the problem? Valve's open nature shifted towards a hands-off attitude. You could start seeing the shift in how the Steam store operated over the years, and then the change became noticeable in their games or lack thereof. Since Team Fortress 2 adopted a free-to-play economy, every tremendously popular Valve title needed to have said economy. Luckily, Left 4 Dead was spared, but Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and even Portal 2 to a very small extent all implemented a free-to-play economy. You can buy skins, cosmetics, and even things like mouse icons and alternative heads-up displays in the case of Dota 2 specifically. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is the title I am most inconvenienced about. This was a pay-to-play game. You had to buy the game to be able to play it. Yet microtransactions were a thing, and Valve fans ranging from Dota 2, Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 fans, to some extent, celebrate this state of affairs. Valve became the icon of microtransactions. Valve was one of the first companies to implement the loot box, or as they called it, the crate, an ingenious disguise of gambling that many fell prey to. Players started putting arbitrary value on items that only exist in the digital realm. They started spending too much money on keys, crates, unusual hats and knife skins. Paying some cents for a better looking HUD can't hurt too, right? You get laughed at when you don't own any cosmetics either. So, some people also get peer pressured into buying something that they can put on their characters. Aside from their actions being very predatory, they also don't put any effort into them. If you really look into how the economies in Team Fortress, Dota and Counter-Strike operate, you will notice that the vast majority of the content was created by the players themselves. Of course, this has many positive side effects. For one, modders get some pocket change through in-game purchases. They get compensated for their work, and surely the idea of being paid for creating textures, items and cosmetics will get more people into these creative fields and game communities. The problem I see lies more in Valve's business practices and their relentless pursuit of profits. When does Valve truly give back to the players? When do they get their hands dirty and make new maps, weapons and game modes themselves? It does happen, but the majority of big updates are filled with mostly community-made items and maps. All Valve seems to do, most of the times, is balancing the game mechanics and implementing the items the community made for them. This seems to be a variation of what is called outsourcing, a technique involving making other people do the work for you, instead of you putting the work in yourself. Valve is going to the extreme with this approach, to the point where they even would let modders make and sell sequels and remakes to their official games. Yes, they already do that. This is also where I draw the line in the sand when it comes to openness. It isn't about me disliking the idea of fan-made games being sold. It has much more to do with an apathetic mindset regarding a game franchise. Allowing fans to create any game and call it a Half-Life remake, Half-Life sequel or spiritual Day of Defeat successor without even supervising those projects doesn't seem like this comes from a place of love for the franchise. There already are plenty of bad examples available for purchase on the Steam store, which showcase why this open approach might be a mistake. On one hand, it is amazing that we got projects like Black Mesa's Source, a remake of Half-Life 1, and the upcoming mod that also got the full Source engine license, Boreal Aleph. On the other hand, it is a weird phenomena that Valve seems to have so little interest in their intellectual properties that they give any fan project the power to create a sequel that should be worked on or at least overseen by Valve themselves. Quite a few games released by Valve ended up getting neglected due to lacking profits, the best examples being Alien Swarm, Left 4 Dead, and basically every multiplayer title that isn't called Counter-Strike Global Offensive or Dota 2. Alien Swarm was a rather generous release and it is a pretty good game. It is fun to play with friends for a bit and can be very tense very quickly. Only problem is that the game was basically dead on arrival. Valve promised free updates for this entirely free game. At most, maybe one update actually came out. But then the game started getting ignored by Valve. Worse yet, the Alien Swarm website was shut down too, meaning that mods, map packs and campaigns were lost forever. Alien Swarm ended up being yet another game the community revitalized and updated, since Valve didn't care to do it themselves. Some may be surprised that I listed Left 4 Dead here, but there is a good reason, believe me. Left 4 Dead was also a game that was promised multiple updates regarding playable characters, campaigns, game modes and so on. Yet, we didn't really get anything that was promised. Left 4 Dead 2 is rumored to originally have been a Left 4 Dead expansion that was separately sold by many, and I would not be surprised if that actually was the case. Team Fortress 2 is an odd example out of a bunch of multiplayer titles Valve put out. It is the game that may have birthed the modern implementation of loot boxes. It has invented the main monetization scheme Valve kept using for Dota 2 and CSGO to make millions of dollars in profit, and it was a beloved multiplayer shooter many people enjoyed and some still enjoy today. Yet the game isn't supported at all nowadays. With a basically non-existent developer team, promised updates never coming out, and a community that was alienated and fragmented way more than just one time, I always question myself, why did it have to come like this? I hope that you notice that this opinion piece derives from a place of love. I loved Valve, and I still enjoy most of their games, but I got increasingly more annoyed by their behavior and attitude they show towards their community and their intellectual properties. It is a terrible time to be a Valve fan. You cling on to the hope that a new game might release and that this game might be the step above the predecessor, but realistically speaking, the expectations have climbed so high that no matter what Valve's next game will be, the fans will be disappointed. Valve favoring profits over satisfying their fans of course won't hurt the company, considering they own the most popular digital game storefront today. My current attitude towards Valve can be explained with words like frustration, disappointment, and unfortunate. It is frustrating to see the games you love waste away. It is disappointing to see that Valve doesn't care about their properties and let random developers use their franchises and assets. And lastly, it is unfortunate that it seems that we won't get any games, or Source 2, anytime soon.